Refused to go to my Bill's wedding after his fiancée wore a white dress to mine, irking my mill and possibly sparking family drama. My 32F husband, 38 male, we'll call him Dan, has one brother, 33 male, we'll call him Jordan, whom he has never gotten along with. Dan isn't much of a sharer, so I don't know all the details. All I know is that according to Dan and Jordan's aunt, Jordan was horrible to Dan growing up. Jordan is also notoriously disliked and known to just not be a good person by just about everyone I've met that also know him. Their own grandmother warned me about him before we met. Now Jordan is not just unpleasant, he is a fully hatched bigot. Now I'm not usually very confrontational, I have the people-pleasing disease, but after a few drinks, I'm a tad more flippant with my opinion. Over Christmas, Jordan made a comment about people of other races not being real people and I lost it, but the meanest thing I said was, thank goodness you live somewhere your opinion doesn't really matter, they live in a very very blue state. He responded that I didn't matter, lol, so I just got up and walked away to help his fiancée, 25F, we'll call her Katie, wash the dishes. I apologized to her, in my mind for having the deal with Jordan, but in her mind, it was for yelling at him, and she responded with something along the lines of, no, I'm sorry, I wish I believed in something that much. I thought that was a little odd, but we were all pretty intoxicated, so I just didn't pay much mind to that comment. I also agreed to be nice to Jordan for the rest of the evening, mostly to keep my mill, who I love, happy. The rest of the evening, Jordan sulked in the corner, and while Katie, my mill and Phil, Dan and I opened gifts, chatted and had a generally good time, considering what had happened. Some background on Katie I feel is important to the story. She's one of those women that looks like a real housewife. Not in a bad way, she just looks all glammed up, and is always wearing designer clothes / bags, and expensive jewelry. She actually looks a lot like a younger Brandy Glanville from Rope. I like nice things as well, but am much more the type to live in sweatpants unless I need to go somewhere that requires real pants. She's also very loud and loves to be the center of attention. Meanwhile, I'm dreading my own wedding day simply because of all the people looking at me. Katie and I really couldn't be more different, and I didn't necessarily see her as a bad thing at first, but there was something about her that rubbed me the wrong way and I just couldn't put my finger on. I was a little weary of anyone willing to date someone like Jordan, and I just had this weird feeling that Katie didn't actually like me, or was trying to one-up me in some way. That feeling probably came from the fact that Jordan and Katie got engaged 2 months after Dan and I and set their wedding to August of this year, 6 months after ours. I've seen enough Charlotte videos to know that maybe I was just being insecure or projecting or something, so I just kept those feelings to myself and tried my best to befriend my future Sil. But it just seems so odd to me because Jordan and Dan's parents had absolutely no idea Jordan was even considering proposing. Things started to get weird though when I invited her to my bachelorette party via my Mo, who was planning it, and her response was thanks, but I already celebrated her in Nashville. Nashville was a trip we're both invited on with my Mill to visit Mill's sister and our future female cousin since they live there. It was a semi-celebration for me, but more of a girls in the family trip, and I had absolutely nothing to do with it. But fine, we don't live in the same state, and even though my bachelorette was a local one-day thing on a weekend, I understand it's a trip for her and not everyone can take off work / afford to make the trip. I was still a little hurt, but again, was willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. Keep in mind though, all this was before the Christmas chaos, but again, after the blow-up, Katie and I seemed to be getting along fine. Surprisingly well, in fact, and I actually started to think maybe we could be friends. Flash forward to Dan and I's wedding day. The way the venue was laid out, I was able to see all the guests arriving and taking their seats for my getting ready suite. So I'm standing at the window, watching people arrive, getting pumped to marry the man of my dreams, and in walks Jordan and Katie in a white dress. I immediately just started laughing, simultaneously in disbelief and also not surprised. The night goes on and the vast majority of people in attendance, at least on my / our friend's side, were absolutely appalled. My wedding planner was livid and the bartenders even asked me, unprovoked, if I would like them to spill a drink or two on her. Honestly, at the time, I felt so vindicated and relieved that my instincts about her were correct. I told them not to worry about it. I mean, at this point, I feel like if you wear white to someone else's wedding, everyone there knows exactly the kind of person you are. The funniest part, I found this out later, that my Mo confronted her and said, why would you wear white to a wedding? And she goes, it's not white, it's cream. I would never wear white to a wedding. Picture attached is of a similar dress in the same color for reference. Now that a couple of days have gone by and I've had some time to stew, I realize how incredibly disrespectful that really was. I mean, she's either as stupid as she looked in that dress and didn't realize the dress wasn't appropriate, or she did it intentionally. So anyway, now on to the whipped part of the post. Jordan and Katie are getting married in August. It's a 4-day destination wedding in the Bahamas and would cost a minimum of $1,800, between the hotel and flight, for Dan and I to attend. I know this would really upset my Mill, but Dan and I really do not want to go. If it were in their hometown, we would just suck it up for Mill, but the idea of taking time off work and spending almost $2,000 to celebrate people who don't even hesitate to hurt us on our own wedding is not necessarily on my bingo card for 2025. I don't want to ruin my relationship with my Mill and Phil because they really are wonderful people, but I also refuse to spend the rest of my life being disrespected by Jordan and Katie, so I feel like we need to set the boundary now before it gets worse. So please tell me, lovely potatoes, would if we refuse to go to my Bill's wedding after his fiancée wore a white dress to my wedding? Update 1. Creating a separate post because apparently Reddit doesn't let you edit posts with pictures. First, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who commented. I did not expect to get this much support from a group of strangers, and I appreciate every single one of you who offered advice, shared their own experience, and just made me laugh about the whole situation. This community really is something special, but that's not surprising considering how awesome Charlotte is. Of course she would have the best potatoes. Also, I learned from my last post and separated the paragraphs, so hopefully this won't be another wall of text. Okay, on to the update. Dan and I have decided we are not going to attend the wedding. As fun and petty as it would be to go and wear the same or a similar white dress, or to go and announce a pregnancy, I know and that would just hurt me and the in-laws I actually like more than it would Jordan and Katie. Plus their wedding guest list is 220 people, and if even half of them are like J and K, well, who knows what they would do if I showed up in white. I mean cream. There are a few family members on DH's side that we know aren't invited. I know, a 220-person destination wedding, and they couldn't even include the whole family, so we may go visit them during that weekend instead. As for Mill and Phil, we are planning to talk to them this weekend and are just going to be honest about why we don't want to go. I didn't mention this in my original post because I didn't think it was relevant, but Mill and Phil are fairly well off. They would 100% offer to cover the cost of the entire trip if we tried to use the excuse that we just can't afford it right now, so we might as well just tell them the truth up front. Fingers crossed that they can see our side of things and also realize that what Katie did was not only disrespectful to Dan and I, but to Mill as well. It is no secret Mill wants that big happy family, so to do something so blatantly inappropriate at what could have been the start of mending a relationship, seems like a slap in the face to her as well. Plus we genuinely fear what drama they would stir up once kids are involved, so we agree with everyone saying we need to set the boundary now, before it gets worse. I will definitely provide another update, hopefully on this no picture post, after we have the talk. I also got to talk with my photographer this morning and share some of your amazing ideas with her, and she was loving it. She confirmed that Katie was only featured in 2 pictures and then in the background of a few others, so she said she'll send me the unedited photos first and then we can have fun. Update 2. Before I start, I feel compelled to share, in case anyone was wondering, that Dan is 100% supportive of me sharing this story with all of you. I introduced him to Charlotte when we first started dating, and we often watch her videos together. The morning after the wedding, when we were discussing everything, he goes, "Well, on the bright side, at least you have a story for the subreddit." Quick background: I mentioned in a comment or two, but not in either of my posts because I was trying not to ramble, but I realize now is relevant. After the Christmas blow-up, Dan had told Mill that we really did not want to invite Jordan and Katie to our wedding. We had invited people from all different types of backgrounds and did not want Jordan to say or do anything that would make anyone feel uncomfortable. Mill begged and pleaded, saying that Jordan would never, that she would watch him like a hawk all night, that she would disown him if he ever did anything, etc. And you all know the result of that conversation. So I learned a couple of new things about Katie and Jordan's behavior at the wedding. I heard from a few different people that Kay and Jay were being snarky and dismissive to guests, including to some of my family. I don't know exactly what was said, but I do know that the bartenders had to cut Jordan off halfway through the reception because of how much he was starting to act up. Now, you can do whatever you want to hurt me, that's one thing, but as a proud Italian American, don't you dare f/ck with my family. That was truly the last straw. I told Dan what happened, and we were both on the same page that we are absolutely not going to their wedding under any circumstances. We had kind of already made the decision, but we both knew there could be a way Mill could talk us into it. Not anymore, it was going to be a hard no. After finding all this out, I finally broke down about the situation, and after a good cry, decided I needed to go on a nice long run. Well, while I was running, my amazing DH took it upon himself to give his mom a call and have the talk right then. And it went surprisingly well. Apparently, she didn't even argue, not once. She completely understood why we wouldn't go, based on the dress incident alone, and said she had no idea why Katie would do such a thing. When DH told her about Jordan being rude and getting cut off at the wedding, she was mortified and apologized profusely. She even acknowledged that something like that was exactly why we didn't want to invite them in the first place, and she was so sorry. Mill is not a subtle person. She's basically a combo of Kitty from that 70s show and Mrs. Weasley from Harry Potter, so if she didn't agree with us or understand our point of view, she would let us know. And probably call me directly. But she didn't, so I do truly believe, if she blames anyone, she does not blame/fault us for this decision. As some people suggested, DH and I will be using the money we would have spent going to the wedding on a trip to visit his chosen brother, his best man and college roommate, in Toronto during that weekend. Update 3. First, the icing on this cream-colored disaster cake. As expected, word of us not attending the destination wedding spread through the family grapevine almost instantly. But then, on Tuesday, Katie herself texted me out of nowhere. Now, we haven't had a direct, one-on-one text exchange since the Christmas incident, unless you count a happy birthday. At 2 a.m., Lamau, so I was immediately suspicious. The opening line, "Hey girl. Just wanted you to hear this from us. I totally get family can't always make destination weddings smile, hope no hard feelings." To which I replied a polite, "Appreciate you understanding. Hope it's a beautiful celebration." She immediately double-tapped to like my text, but then, sent me a photo. You ready? Because I wasn't. It was a picture of her wedding dress fitting. The dress. In pure, glaring bridal white, the kind that would terrify a bottle of red wine. And on another rack? The cream dress she wore to my wedding. She wrote, "So funny how different white can look under different lights, right? Glad you get it." I showed Dan. He just about combusted. I have no words for the psychological judo going on here, and I'm convinced this was meant to needle me. But joke's on her, now I have literal, time-stamped photo evidence of her acknowledging both dresses. If she ever tries to gaslight later, I'm locked and loaded. But wait, it gets spicier. Also this week, we met my in-laws, Mill and Phil, for dinner to catch up and gently let them know about the Toronto trip plans. I think they already knew, because Mill had made us a care package of travel snacks. But halfway through dessert, Mill, wine glass in hand, bless her, leaned in and said, "Well, it's not just you two. We're not sure we want to go to the Bahamas either." What? Apparently Jordan tried to negotiate with Mill and Phil about covering the costs for Katie's cousin's airfare and wanted them to host an extra after-party at the hotel. "Oh, and could you help negotiate an upgrade for our honeymoon suite?" Phil looked like he was about to short-circuit. Phil quietly vented to us that he knows Jordan and Katie are in over their heads. Turns out, Katie's family is also quietly bailing on this wedding because her sister had a blow-up with her at the dress fitting. I'm thinking that rack of dresses wasn't just for funsies. Mill is crushed, but she's mostly disappointed in Jordan being so cavalier about family support. She told me not to feel guilty for dodging this circus, and said point blank, "You tried." Sometimes, honey, people dig their own holes. Now, the next part, the cream dress story. Thanks to all your amazing advice, shout out to whoever suggested the reverse Uno card. I asked my photographer for some help. She delivered. She put together a guest faux pas collage of background outtakes. Yes, Katie in the dress, usually with somebody side-eyeing her like she's auditioning for Mean Girls. My favorite, my most 2-year-old niece pointing directly at Katie mid-gummy smile, the unintentional shade. I've now got the collage saved as my phone background. Every time I wake up, I'm reminded that sometimes the universe serves justice in side-eye. You'd think that was enough, right? Nope. On Thursday, a cousin slid into my DMs with some wild news. There's now a group message among a small subset of Jordan and Katie's uninvited extended family. The Bahamas rejects. Yes, that's real. Yes, I nearly spit my coffee. They're planning a backyard, not a destination barbecue bash the same weekend as the wedding. The theme? Primary colors. They explicitly requested no white, cream, eggshell, or antique vanilla. I am dead. I am going to buy a red jumpsuit, and Dan is eyeing a blue suit from Amazon as I type this. And for those of you wondering about the Toronto trip, Dan's best man got so hyped when we told him. He messaged their old college group chat, which got the whole crew buzzing. We've now got an accidental college reunion brewing and maybe a chance to cross off see Niagara Falls with zero wedding drama. I realize now that, instead of letting this whole thing overshadow the summer, we are going to have our own adventure with the people who lift us up, not the ones who drag us down to the sand. Bahamas, pun intended. Postscript, because y'all asked, that cream dress collage? It may or may not make its way into a holiday card, fashion faux pas of the year, starring the Real Housewife of Tone Deaf County. I'll keep you posted, because, honestly, living well, and with good humor, is the best revenge. Update 4. Oh. My. Potatoes. Y'all, I wasn't even planning to come back so soon, but the sheer, sparkling chaos of this family saga has a mind of its own. And apparently, so does Jordan, because let me tell you, if you thought we'd hit peak drama, you'd be mistaken. Let's dive into the fresh batch of tea, freshly brewed, piping hot, and with a side of WTF. First, the group chat of Bahamas rejects was not ready for what unfolded this week. Katie, bless her Real Housewife heart, sent out a group text to the entire invite list, letting everyone know that due to unforeseen issues with the venue and flight delays, we strongly recommend guests arrive 2 days early and consider alternative lodging in Nassau. Now, keep in mind, her wedding is at an all-inclusive resort in the Exumas, which is 100+ miles and a ferry ride from Nassau. Translation: we booked a resort we can't actually fill, please fend for yourselves and oops, the room block is gone? Immediately, my Mill's phone blew up with panic texts from cousins who already bought non-refundable tickets. Katie followed up with a chipper, "Sorry, we're so grateful for your flexibility." The Bahamas rejects group chat started referring to this as Firefest 2, Bridal Boogaloo. But that was only the appetizer. The main course, dear potatoes, is that Jordan apparently caught a glimpse of the cream dress collage. I'm not saying I circulated it, but let's just say, our family group text is leakier than a colander. On Saturday, Katie called Mill in tears, claiming we were running a smear campaign and turning the whole family against her with edited photos. Edited? If only she knew about the one with the laser cat eyes meme filter. Mill, bless her patience, fired back that maybe if she didn't act like a Bravo TV villain, she wouldn't get memed. Phil snorted loud enough to wake the cat. And yes, these are direct quotes because Dan had me on speaker the whole time. But the true mind melter, on Monday morning, Dan gets a lengthy, typo-strewn email from Jordan, subject line, family unity. Jordan, who once told everyone at Thanksgiving, "I hate emailing," texts me like a normal person. The gist: Jordan claims Katie is now afraid to come to family holidays unless we all acknowledge her apology for the dress, sent, apparently, in the form of a Venmo request for $75, which no one knew about but her old college roommate and now, thanks to screenshots, all of us. It gets better. Jordan then requests we publicly announce, at the family barbecue, that any further references to the dress be put to rest, as a gesture of goodwill. Otherwise, they feel unsafe participating in family activities. Dan laughs so hard, iced coffee shot out his nose. Our response? We told Mill and Phil exactly what happened. Phil, a retired attorney, immediately said, "I don't negotiate with toddlers," and suggested offering to facilitate a conflict resolution circle by having each family member bring one item the other ruined. Dan, "I'll bring my best tie," which Jordan turned into a napkin that one time. Mill is now convinced that the dress was a deliberate white flag and has started referring to Katie as the Duchess of Cream. And then, the real cherry on top, Katie's side of the family is throwing their own pre-bachelorette event the weekend before the Bahamas, but only 3 people RSVP'd. Her grandmother, who is apparently on strike because Katie banned her from wearing her signature ivory hat. The rest of Katie's relatives? They're at the Bahamas Rejects barbecue, and they actually invited us to judge the cream pie off. I might cry. Or laugh. Or both. Oh, and because I know you need the petty details, I ordered a shirt for the barbecue printed with "not the cream of the crop" in bold rainbow letters. Dan's blue suit? It's now sporting a red boutonniere, because we're committing to the primary color theme like it's the Met Gala. But let's talk real change. Since all this unfolded, Dan and I got 3 separate messages from distant cousins. All thanked us for being brave and not giving in for show. One even said, "I always felt like I was putting up with Jordan and Katie for my parents' sake. Seeing you set boundaries makes me feel like I can too." Maybe we aren't healing the whole family, but sometimes, I think the best gift you can give is just not keeping the peace at your own expense. So to wrap up, we're skipping the Bahamian hurricane of drama, we're headed for a real family celebration with loving people. Mill and Phil are secretly relieved, and the cream dress collage is now an annual holiday tradition, by popular request. Jordan and Katie? They may try their hardest to center stage their drama, but honestly, we're too busy living our best lives. Update 5. Banana daiquiris and cream-fueled chaos. Phew. Y'all, the Bahamas Rejects barbecue hasn't even happened yet, and I swear every day brings a new chapter in the continuing soap opera of Jordan and Katie, now lovingly referred to in group chat shorthand as J&K Incorporated. Dan and I are living our best lives prepping for a drama-free summer, but, naturally, the universe said, "Hold my mimosa." Let's just say, incredible new developments, fresh drama, and a twist no one, least of all me, saw coming. About a week after Katie's strongly recommend other hotels fiasco, guests started getting emails with, wait for it, revised invitations for the Bahamas wedding. Actually, that's being generous. Most people got a generic BCC'd email stating, "Due to unforeseen logistical issues, we must respectfully request that only immediate family and bridal party join us for our special day. We hope you understand." Complete with a bitmoji of Katie and Jordan in a palm tree hammock. No new date, no explanation, just a digital uninvitation. Cue meltdown across 3 different family group texts, because some folks had non-refundable tickets, and others hadn't booked yet and were suddenly missing out on the event of the year. Several Mill cousins banded together and called the resort, only to find the couple had, in fact, cancelled the group block. The Bahamas Rejects barbecue chat officially became Bahamas Survivors, and started posting memes of burning passports and Katie's cream dress photoshopped onto Gilligan from Gilligan's Island. I choked on my coffee twice. Remember the cousin who invited us to the barbecue? They escalated. They contacted everyone who had been uninvited and organized a massive, impromptu family fest on the same weekend as the original wedding. Think slip and slide, potluck, karaoke, and a best dressed not in cream contest. I ordered a tiara. Mill and Phil RSVP'd before we even could. Phil apparently is entering with a white chef's hat with a giant red X duct taped on it. Game on. Now, the plot takes a wildly unexpected turn. One of Dan's childhood friends, let's call him Sam, who now works as a freelance photographer in the Bahamas, because of course he does, DM'd Dan out of the blue. Sam spotted a couple furiously arguing in the main lobby of the Exumas resort on, wait for it, the original wedding weekend. He snaps a blurry covert shot, texts it, "Isn't this the guy you went to college with?" Loda shouting about a non-refundable cake delivery. Folks, it's Jordan. With Katie, mid-fight, surrounded by bewildered resort staff. Our best guess? Ceremony never happened, but K and J went anyway, perhaps hoping to turn a vacation into a virtual wedding. But word is, no photographers or guests ever arrived, and the cake, which, I kid you not, was apparently half melting in a cardboard box, was a custom order they tried, and failed, to return. I now have a blurry, pixelated honeymoon pic of the two of them, cream dress folded over an armchair in the background. I swear, I'm framing it next to the holiday cream dress collage. All this blows up by Sunday, when Katie does what all real housewives in the wild do, crowd control on Instagram. She posts a candid beach pic with a long caption about intimate elopements and choosing love over spectacle. Comments get locked within 16 minutes, but not before cousin Lexi, true queen, chirps, "Hope dessert isn't too sweet, don't want to spill anything on that cream." Comment, deleted. Screenshot, immortal. Within 48 hours, Jordan sent a 6-paragraph Facebook message to Dan, CCing their parents, inviting all immediate family to a healing circle dinner at their home. Details, let's put aside the drama and break bread as a family. Dress code, whites and neutrals, for a fresh start. I had to reread that 3 times. The audacity to ban color at a peace summit after everything? Dan took one look and said, "I'm only going in a Pikachu onesie at this point, and honestly, same. I wish I was done." Mill, who is now fully embracing her arch-nemesis title, bought matching Not the Duchess of Cream aprons for us for the barbecue. Phil writes to the family thread, this year's family photos, no whites, no neutrals, no drama, and the best part? The Bahamas survivors have invited so many family and friend cast-offs that what started as a sad little barbecue is about to rival an actual wedding, complete with a fake cake, rumor is, it's intentionally slightly melted, piñatas shaped like a handbag, and a photo booth with prop cream dresses. Even Mill said, I don't care if this is the pettiest day of my life. I haven't stopped smiling since we freed ourselves. Through all this, Dan's college crew is now flying out for a Toronto bash. My best friend is coming too. We're planning group outings, voted to do no white, and, to honor everyone who's found themselves in wedding chaos limbo, we're making this our new tradition, Unity Week, where family is what you make of it, and dress codes involve zero cream. Update 6, the Great Cream Escape and the Rise of the Side-Eye Empire. Well, potatoes, buckle up, because if you thought this saga had peaked with melting cakes, digital uninvitations, and cream-fueled family drama, the universe has lofty aspirations. This week, in events that felt part documentary, part satire, Jordan and Katie's wedding fallout went viral. If by viral you mean everyone in a 4-state radius and Canadian border towns is texting, calling, and thirstily forwarding screenshots. Here's how it all went down. Family Fest finally happened last weekend and it was, by all reports, a legendary event. There was a slip and slide, the Not in Cream fashion parade, a won best tiara, Phil won most dramatic statement hat, a karaoke rendition of Don't You Forget About Cream, and the infamous cream pie off. Mill decided the chef's hat deserved an encore next year. Best of all, people from every cousin group and friend circle showed up. Several of Katie's previously estranged relatives came bearing potato salad and stories, one of which involved Katie's supposed designer bag being a knockoff she tried to swap out at another cousin's bachelorette party. I spat out my iced tea, Mill and Phil? Living their best lives, laughing all day, and telling anyone who'd listen that setting boundaries is the best thing that has ever happened to this family's cholesterol. But the biggest star was the photo booth, which, thanks to my photographer friend, had props including fake cream dresses, plastic tiaras, and a cardboard Jordan mask. Let's just say, the spirit of the cream dress made more appearances than anyone else at the barbecue, and someone made a TikTok compilation that may now be circulating among local Real Housewives fan clubs. True to his word, Jordan really did organize a healing circle dinner at their house this week. We debated attending, mostly out of morbid curiosity, but decided to sit this one out after consulting the Bahamas Survivors chat, which encouraged us to choose peace over beige. But here's where things get wild. Only 5 people show: Mill, Phil, one cousin, the family cryptographer, taking notes for the group chat, and, obviously, Jordan and Katie. Mill says Katie had recreated a beach tablescape in their dining room. There were seashells, mini umbrellas in everyone's sparkling water, and, inexplicably, an Alexa playing Kokomo on a loop. The meal? A reimagined Bahamian fusion. Think, jerk chicken with Caesar salad and white bread, cream-colored cupcakes for dessert. Right before dessert, Jordan gives a drawn-out toast about leaving past misunderstandings on foreign soil. Katie, voice quivering, stands up and reads a 3-paragraph open letter to the family in which she laments rampant online bullying, digital manipulation of memories, and the need for fresher aesthetic energy for generational healing. She gestures at her own outfit, a pure white jumpsuit, then invites everyone to cleanse any negative stories by writing them on a note card and burning them on the patio fire pit. Phil's contribution? Here's a story, this is all too much. Please, pass the rolls. Mill texted us a photo of Phil, arms crossed, notepad untouched, grinning like someone accidentally RSVP'd to a cult meeting. Katie, having tasted a small spoonful of viral attention from the group barbecue memes, took to Instagram for an epic attempt at redemption. A 5-slide story that begins with her, in a backlit selfie, declaring, I may wear cream, but my heart is pure. The second slide is a selfie with a filter that inexplicably gives her blue eyebrows and sparkles. The third and fourth are blurry, poorly cropped meme reposts that reference forgiveness and the color wheel of family. Fifth slide, a photo of her, alone, in the white jumpsuit at their healing dinner, captioned, renewals rehashing. If you don't dress for healing, you'll miss the glow up. Comments, obviously, are limited, but screenshots find their way back to me in less than an hour, along with half a dozen DMs from mutual friends asking, did she just launch a healing jumpsuit line? The answer, unbelievably, is yes. She's now promoting Soul Cream, her self-designed, forgiving neutral-toned athleisure line. Sam from the Bahamas, Dan's photographer friend, immediately made a parody True Colors tee and gifted us 2. See, karma comes in pastels and primaries. Meanwhile, we get Dan's family unity Facebook blast. Jordan invites all the family, yes, even the removed Bahamas rejects, to a reconciliation Zoom next month. Dress code, clean slates, white and neutral recommended. Within minutes, the replies roll in. First cousin to respond? The backyard barbecue host. Her reply, a photo of her dog in a rainbow sweater with, will be fashionably late. Then, old Aunt Lois chimes in, Zoom doesn't display my creams well, sorry. Phil says, I'll be at the golf course, not Zooming with ghosts. My favorite so far, Mills texted me, I'll only Zoom if Alexa agrees to DJ. Otherwise, see you at barbecue 2.0 next year. Through all this, I've laughed, I've shaken my head, but weirdly, what stands out is the amazing, real family that's risen out of the ashes of this silly, creamy war. Instead of appeasing people with megaphones and no self-awareness, we all finally stopped pretending. Boundaries got built, friendships grew. My DMs are bursting with photos of primary colored outfits and cousins sincerely thanking me for giving permission to not put up with family circus acts for tradition's sake. Even Mill, who originally just wanted everyone happy, now says, who knew? The best memories come after you stop fighting for ones that never were. Where does this all leave us? Jordan and Katie, now minor cream wear influencers, shudder, throwing Zoom calls no one attends. Our side-eye empire of survivors, red, blue, and yellow as far as the eye can see, already talking no cream 2025, me and Dan? Vacationing with our chosen family, collecting memes, and planning next year's theme, and the cream dress collage? Oh, it's going on a t-shirt. Might even be the holiday party invite next round. To everyone reading and rooting for a good ending, sometimes, the best plot twist is realizing you're not the main character in someone else's drama, and that's how you truly win. As always, I'll update if the healing jumpsuit goes viral, or when Aunt Lois finally masters TikTok memes, with or without cream.